This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Whiskey Mountain, a film by William Grefé made back in 1977. I hesitate to call it a horror film because it doesn't really get there until maybe the last act. Anyways, until then, it's a movie about two dirt biking couples who go off into the mountains in search of guns from the Confederacy stored away since the Civil War in a place called Whiskey Mountain. Despite warnings from locals to stay away, they press on, only to find their way to their destination marked by a number of scares, close calls, and other dangers, until they come face to face with the reason why they were warned to stay away in the first place: the so-called mountain people. This may all sound like a setup for a wild and crazy series of events, but the film fails to capitalize on any potential in the concept and sticks to something far more mundane and uneventful. The opening of the film begins with dirt biking footage that sets up nothing other than the fact that our main characters exist, and is followed up by a lot more nothing other than exposition. Any setups that are made in these opening scenes as the group heads into the mountains are given no payoffs until sometime closer to the ending, and everything until then pretty much wastes its own time for the sake of a feature-length runtime. It's not until halfway through the movie that actual plot development happens, and even then it's only just barely so. When something actually does happen, it comes all at once and starts to rush itself, as if the filmmakers remembered that they needed stuff to happen in the movie, which likely explains the severe tonal shifts throughout the final act, which can cause enough whiplash to make you question if this movie had an actual script or if they just made it up as they went along. As for the film's technical elements, Whiskey Mountain has nothing to be proud about either. Cinematography is more practical than not, with shots that only pretty much focus on the cast for the sake of keeping them visible, and hardly, if ever, trying for anything more creative or expressive. There are a few attempts at beauty shots of the nature surrounding them, but while that may be pretty in real life, on film these shots come through more often as blurs, with very little color to help at least imply you're supposed to be looking at something much prettier. It doesn't help that the film picture feels cropped as well, with a widescreen presentation that isn't actually utilized in an artistic sense. I can't really explain it, and I don't want to, because then I'd have to think about this movie more than I can stand. Anyways, it goes without saying that the film's audio is just as poorly rendered as the rest of the film, with a lot of fuzz that makes it sound like it was recorded through a blanket or something woolly. The only thing that makes listening to the film worthwhile is its actual musical score and soundtrack, recorded by Charlie Daniels and his band for some reason. I'll never know how they ended up working on this movie, but I hope they got paid well for it. Overall, Whiskey Mountain is a movie that tries too little to be something less than basic, and somehow fails to at least meet that benchmark. There's nothing to justify this film's existence, and there's little that redeems it. The soundtrack is pretty much all that it has, and even so, it could have existed outside of this film instead. Everything else points to this movie being something made either to waste the time of everybody involved, or to make an excuse for a paid vacation up to the mountains. No matter what it is, the movie does nothing to explain itself, and at the end of the day, it's a hillbilly horror film that barely has any hillbillies or horror in it at all. Whiskey Mountain, William Grefé, 1977. 1 star. Obviously, I don't recommend giving this a shot at all. you're better off taking a walk up your own local mountains, if you got any. Well, that's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I suppose I should be glad that this theater hasn't tried to stick more movies like this on me. But I feel like if I say that out loud, then I'll jinx it. Wait a minute.